From popular MMOs ending up in jail to Kev Jumba becoming a monk, here are the 9 biggest OG creators who fell off the YouTube front page. Starting with popular MMOs, whose downfall from Minecraft YouTuber to wanted criminal would begin with a heartbreaking announcement.
Basically, a few months ago, we decided to break up.
But before the breakup, popular MMOs would earn an audience of over 17 million subscribers with his entertaining content.
The nuclear death race gotta be dangerous. What do you do?
Many of these videos even featured his wife, gaming with Jen, making the couple a fan favorite. But in December 2018, almost 3 years after the two first got married, tragedy struck.
We decided to break up.
Yes.
And it's been something that we've been thinking about probably for a year, maybe longer.
But Jen kept appearing on the channel alongside her ex-husband and his girlfriend, Eleni.
I am with Jen, and I am with Eleni.
Hey guys!
So it seemed like things were still good. On April 12th, 2022, however, Pat stopped posting altogether, and his final video was a red flag that fans wouldn't catch until it was too late. As a result, Pat and his friends would be arrested for trying to run onto the field during an NFL game, with Pat being sentenced to 2 days in jail to the shock of his audience. But while fans were desperate for an explanation, Pat didn't reveal his side of the story until more than a year later.
It's about me going to jail. It's such a good story, but everything online about it where everyone talks about me, they were like, you're such a horrible person. So like, I hadn't talked to Ethan, and you guys have seen Ethan on the channel before. I hadn't talked to him in like 2 months. All of a sudden I get a phone call, and he's like, Pat, what do you think about jumping on the field of the football game tomorrow? I was like, I'm not sure. He's like, I'm gonna do it. And I was like, of course I'll go with you. So I stayed and I recorded the entire thing.
Worse, this was only the beginning of the end for popular MMOs, as barely 6 months later, Pat was arrested again, this time for possessing marijuana and resisting arrest with violence. The YouTuber pled guilty on November 20th, 2024, and was sentenced to 12 months probation. Now in contrast, Japanese vlogger Miss Hannah Minx would raise red flags after suddenly abandoning her audience despite being loved by all her fans. First earning views with her educational yet fun videos on Japanese culture and language.
So today I'm going to teach you the Te form song.
Hannah's fans loved her, but despite her popularity, 4 years later, Hannah suddenly stopped uploading. There was no official announcement of her quitting YouTube, leaving some fans to speculate she had been kidnapped or worse. A year later, however, Japanese-based YouTuber Gimme a Break Man gave fans a much-needed update.
Hannah Minx got married. Like, she's a grown woman. Obviously, she doesn't want to make videos anymore. That's fine. So good for her anyway. Most importantly, she's happy.
While some were relieved to hear this, others questioned his sources. In response, Gimme a Break Man claimed he had gotten the information from Jenna's Facebook. Interestingly, her official IMDb page claimed she had been married with a kid to someone named Steve Fox Osterhagen since May 13, 2014, but that didn't explain why she stopped posting. 7 years after she first disappeared, Hannah's Twitter and Facebook accounts would post a mysterious update. One day, Miss Hannah Minx escaped from an anime cartoon and started teaching Japanese on YouTube, which was immediately flooded with questions and requests, but Hannah did not respond to any of them, and it is unknown if the update was even posted by Hannah herself. Worse, a year later, all the videos on Miss Hannah Minx's main channel, as well as her second channel, Bonus Minx, were made private, deepening the mystery of her disappearance. Unlike Hannah, however, Prank vs. Prank's downfall from millions of views per video to a couple of 100,000 would be their own choice.
This is probably going to be the hardest video that we've ever had to make.
Featuring the couple, Jesse and Jenna, Prank vs. Prank would popularize the couples pranking each other trope on YouTube.
Oh my god, Jesse! It's getting worse!
With tens of millions of views on every video, they even made it to USA Today's list of top 10 prank channels. But while fans loved them, being in the public eye came with its consequences.
It's difficult to be in the public eye and have everybody with an opinion. Everybody judges us and our relationship.
On top of that, the stress of daily vlogging was getting to the couple.
When it gets to a point where it starts to feel like a job and you're not doing things because you love the person, you're doing them for a vlog, that puts a huge burden on the relationship. Gina and I have been having a lot of issues in our relationship, and it's been hard. Gina and I are going to take a break from vlogging. We're going to take a break from each other.
Before ending the video, the former couple then made one last request of their audience.
Don't be mad at Gina, don't be mad at me, don't be mad at either of us. This is just something we need to do to like get our brains straight.
And with that, Prank vs. Prank was no more. Since then, Jen has taken over the couple's second channel, BF vs. GF, while Jesse has taken over Prank vs. Prank, where he only gets less than a tenth of the views they used to. Much like Venturian Tale, whose popularity would fall drastically after he was exposed by his own family. On January 16th, 2013, Jordan Fry would start his gaming channel, Venturian Tale, with his 3 siblings. His family-oriented videos grew his channel to almost 3 million subscribers, but over time, his siblings stopped appearing in his videos.
The thing is that we all live apart now. We've all grown up, we've all moved out, we all have our own houses and our own lives and our own jobs and things to take our time, so we don't really film together anymore.
But while Jordan's explanation made them sound like a loving if somewhat distant family, on June 20th, 2021, his sister Bethany revealed a darker side of the story.
I was raised in a Christian family, and not just a Christian family, but like non-denominational. They wouldn't even go to like other churches. I wasn't allowed to even make friends. Like I was homeschooled, and the only friends I was allowed to have were my siblings. And I hated being a girl because we would every single day, we'd have to do all these chores inside, but my brothers did nothing. I just felt so belittled for just being a woman, and I hate that feeling. And I just felt unsure about everything. And I felt like I had to get married to escape.
However, once Bethany moved out, her family only got worse.
After that day, when I asked them that and told them I was questioning or I had like beliefs different from them, they just stopped talking to me. I've told them I respect their beliefs and I just wish they could respect mine and we could just be friends. But they told me they could never respect my beliefs.
With that, many of Jordan's old fans stopped supporting him. Every time I learn more about Venturian Tale, a little more of my childhood dies inside. And as his channel's views dropped and viewers demanded explanations, Jordan turned off all comments and stopped posting altogether. Still, it ended better than it did for Lieutenant Corbis, who YouTube forced off the platform after she kept causing controversy. Her journey to getting banned began in 2016, when a then 11-year-old Lieutenant Corbis would gain almost 1 million subscribers for her edgy content.
Despite for learning institutions is exceeding the time I spend in them in increasingly disproportionate amounts.
Despite her controversial content, however, Corbis was incredibly mature for her age.
I've got absolutely nothing planned. 50% of it is just I'm being a lazy c***. The other 50% is I don't have anything to talk about. When you're a YouTuber, you require another source of something interesting going on.
And some even considered her the future of YouTube, until April 2019, when Russian YouTuber No Effers, aka Roman, exposed the true depth of her hatred.
She's an actual alt-right Nazi radical that is spewing racist garbage and has a fan base of thousands of people that agree with every extremely racist statement that she makes.
This is a story on Instagram about it, by the way. It's pretty funny that she thinks that saying that all Muslims should die is exercising free speech.
The backlash was immediate, forcing Corbis to try and explain herself.
I was reading about all the and incest and that sort of thing that goes on in the Middle East, and it's just such an overwhelming like black pill that it with my head really bad. So this is the only way I knew that I could express my rage. You read about thousands of girls getting raped and nothing being done about it. That's when your shadow comes out and says, maybe I do want to commit genocide. Or at least, try to express that idea. It's not, I don't mean it.
But while Corbis claimed she wasn't racist or Islamophobic, just 3 months later, she crossed the line again in the worst way possible.
I've become a devout follower of the Prophet Muhammad. I get raped by my 40-year-old husband every so often, and I have to worship a black cube to indirectly please an ancient Canaanite god.
Now, thanks to this, just a day later, her YouTube channel was permanently taken down, marking the end of Lieutenant Corbis. Unlike Jenna Marbles, who could have stayed at the top of YouTube's front page forever, but chose not to due to shocking reasons.
I think I'm just gonna move on from this channel for now.
Shortly after joining YouTube in 2010, Jenna's video, How to Trick People into Thinking You're Good Looking, would go viral, gaining over 5 million views in a single week.
If you were born really ugly like me, have no fear. There's steps you can take to be good looking, kind of.
The internet loved her humor, but over the years, as Jenna made jokes she wasn't proud of,
it's Nicki Minaj.
Realizing her offensive actions, she decided to take complete accountability 9 years later.
I did blackface as Nicki Minaj in 2011. It was not my intention to do blackface, but it doesn't matter because all that matters is that people were offended and it hurt them, and For that, I am so unbelievably sorry.
The YouTube legend also apologized for her racist song from 2016.
Hey, ching chong wing wong, shake your King Kong ding dong. Sorry, that was racist. I'm bad at rap songs.
It's awful. It doesn't need to exist. It's inexcusable. It's not okay. I'm incredibly sorry.
But while fans praised her for her show of accountability, that wasn't what Jenna was looking for.
I think I'm just gonna move on from this channel for now. I don't know if that's forever. I don't know how long it's gonna be. I wanna make sure that the things that I put into the world are not hurting anyone.
And while many fans still wait her return, it doesn't seem to be happening anytime soon. In contrast, Lilly Singh's downfall from highest earning YouTuber to nearly leaving the platform shows what happens when you milk your fame past its expiry date. This is literally the worst thing I have ever seen. Who gave her this show? Before this, Lilly Singh was actually famous for her comedy skits.
That's what they're saying on news. You can get coronavirus through text message now. Lilly, I want you to stop doing YouTube, okay? So many dirty people with germs leaving comments. Yeah, okay, that's not a thing.
Lilly would reach the peak of her YouTube popularity in 2017 with the People's Choice Award, which led to another historical achievement just 2 years later.
Your girl is getting her own NBC late night show! It's called A Little Late with Lilly Singh.
But while her fans were initially excited, the whole thing turned out to be a massive disappointment. Her humor felt forced.
As a woman, I'm especially stoked to join this group of people.
And it wasn't long before she got herself into hot water with her own people.
And my guest had said something along the lines of, Lilly, you came over and my kids were so embarrassed because they had their hair wrapped in towels and like turby twists. And I, without thinking, said, oh, don't worry, it's like, it reminds me of my Punjabi friends.
Comparing a turban Sikh with that towel twist is so big disrespect. Turban is not just a mere cloth or towel. There were also plenty of other reasons people didn't like her show.
Why are you so loud on the show?
And while Lilly did address some of these criticisms,
why am I so loud on the show? It's because my budget is small, my studio is small, we don't have a built-in sound system. I constantly have to feel like I'm yelling in order to hear myself.
She maintained that despite its poor audience rating, her show was actually a success.
Statistically, from NBC, my show way outperformed whatever was in that time slot before. It has been a success for them.
Nevertheless, as the show got renewed, many hoped she would take criticism seriously and improve. But that didn't happen, because in the end, the show was unexpectedly canceled. Unfortunately, even that wasn't enough to make Lilly understand her flaws.
In 2019, I made history with my late night show, A Little Late with Lilly Singh. There I was, Lilly, the baby born a brown girl, rubbing elbows, or at least time slots, with comedy royalty. A lot of my male mentors make comments and posts about box office numbers and salaries and titles and those dollar bills. So I thought, I'd chime in here. I learned very quickly that whenever I spoke of money, people got a little uncomfortable. But the message was clear. You can be on this list, but don't try to start any conversations about the inequality on this list.
But viewers weren't about to let her get away with playing victim. This is the most insane tour de force of narcissism that I have ever seen. Since then, Lilly has returned to YouTube.
I don't see myself doing sketches again. I don't see myself dressing up as my parents. I have grown and evolved since then, and I want to do different things. The last time we went to India, I sat down with some very cool people and had meaningful conversations about topics that my charity deals with, gender, shame. I'm gonna post them to my YouTube channel because I think you would like them.
But despite this comeback, she now only gets a couple of 100,000 views compared to the millions she used to. Much like Jack's Gap, whose YouTube decline would become inevitable once his brother had to move on.
One day I remember he came into my room and he said, I've made a decision.
Originally launched by a teenage Jack Harries in July 2011, Jack's Gap would blow up after his twin brother Finn joined the channel.
Hello. Finn, YouTube, Finn, nice to meet you, YouTube.
The two would go on adventures around the world.
We're literally minutes away from starting the race. We're about to travel across India.
And gaining millions of views on every video, it was clear the internet loved their content. This isn't just a YouTube video, this is filmmaking at its finest. But then Finn had to leave.
One day I remember he came into my room and he said, I've made a decision. I'm gonna quit the YouTube channel and I'm gonna move to America and go and study to be an architect. And I remember before Finn left, he said, either you stop this as well, or you kind of double down and go for it. All right, good luck. Just don't mess it up. Brilliant. Thanks, babe.
Taking his brother's advice, Jack finally got serious.
We hired another office and got a bunch of friends in, and I started trying to do this thing on my own.
But this didn't go as well as he had hoped.
Finn has much more of a business brain than me. He is much more organized and tech savvy. Without him, I just didn't know how to carry it on.
Now alone, Jack's views began to fall to less than half of what they used to be. And that wasn't the worst thing he had to face.
To be really honest, I started to battle with depression. You know, I don't think I knew it at the time, but I was later diagnosed with clinical depression. I think the truth is, I just felt a complete sense of imposter syndrome.
Struggling with his mental health, Jack left social media altogether, deleting the official JackSgap Twitter and removing JackSgap branding from all platforms. But where this marked the end of JackSgap, Jack Harry's wasn't done yet.
These trips were a real wake-up moment for me. They were the first time that I'd understood the human impact of climate change.
His travels while he was away from the spotlight reignited his passion for climate change.
Made me feel really angry to understand the injustice that is at the heart of the climate crisis, and also to understand that I'm completely complicit within that.
But Jack was determined not to remain complicit.
Ultimately, this led me to join what was then a small group of people in the UK who called themselves Extinction Rebellion.
On top of that, he founded Earthrise Studio to talk about the more overlooked parts of the climate change movement.
Too white, too middle class, and lacking in empathy. These are some of the biggest criticisms of climate activism in the UK over the last few years.
And not long after, he returned to his old channel as an environmentalist vlogger. Now, in contrast, comedy YouTuber Kev Jumba would never return to YouTube, choosing his spiritual peace over chasing views.
I wanted to give you this gift set. It's a little comfort, but this contains our main introduction.
But before starting his spiritual journey, Kev Jumba would first gain attention with his videos on Asian stereotypes.
Not bad. Now I don't have to do you.
Quickly becoming YouTube's #1 subscribed comedian, Kev Jumba was such a legend of OG YouTube. As a child of Asian immigrants growing up, his vids were so darn relatable and a source of huge inspiration. Now, despite this massive support, 5 years later, the YouTuber would completely disappear. There were no new uploads and no explanation until 3 more years had passed when Kevin returned to the internet with his blog, monk.college. Having taken an interest in Buddhism, Kevin started living a completely different life from most people.
Lord Chaitanya is actually compared to like the moon. And so Lord Chaitanya wanted millions of moons. That means he wanted millions of preachers.
But the former YouTuber didn't just study Buddhism, he also preached it.
We can try to conceive of God with our material mind, but in essence, he's transcendental.
Most fans were happy for him, although anyone looking to follow his new journey was out of luck, as just months later, Kevin shut down monk.college, once again disappearing from the internet without explanation. Since then, Kevin has deleted both his main YouTube and his Jumba Fund channel, allowing his YouTube life to decline so his spiritual life could thrive.